Good morning, everyone. Um, Let me see. Um, so today, let me jump in real quick and thank you for joining our stream today. For those of you that may be joining me for the first time, my name is JP Attueyi. Today, I'm going to be talking to you about how to take back control of your finances and understanding yourself before understanding the market. So let's see here. So, who am I? I'm JP Attueyi. I'm a personal finance coach. I'm the author of the book Rich, Young, and African. It's actually my best selling book, a book designed to teach young people how to manage money, build sustainable income streams, and avoid common money mistake and lay down foundation for long-term wealth creation. Now, let me share let me share with you why I decided to go into personal financing. So I as a as a young man, I actually went to boarding school, right? And going to boarding school put me in a position where I learned delayed gratification by force. So back then, we didn't have cell phones like we do today. Didn't have emails. The best we had was writing a letter. I remember one time writing a letter, and the letter got home before I got home before the letter got home. So writing a letter does not even it doesn't solve your problem. So when you leave home and you get to school, you're leaving home with provisions, right? So they give you provisions to augment your food because the food is not the best. And so you then have and you live with some pocket money also. You just know that you have to manage that till the next visiting day or to the next time you go home because not everybody gets visited. So you are forced to start thinking about saving some of these things so that they can last you longer, right? So I learned delay gratification really quick, and saving became very natural to me. And that's a life skill that I hold to today. Today, I am a I am a saver. Naturally, I save. Well, I've become more than a saver now, but saving came very easy to me because I learned it by force. But the average person thinks about now. We we pick up and we get money comes into our hand and we're just thinking about how we are going to spend it. Nobody thinks about how to put something aside. But anyway, saving came natural to me. And by the time I graduated from university and started working, setting aside money was also very easy for me. So once my paycheck came in, even then I wasn't doing budgeting yet. I didn't understand budgeting yet. I didn't know budgeting yet, but I just knew that some portion of this money needed to be saved for the rainy day. Over years, that money grew nominally. And what I mean nominally is in value, you can say, hey, I now have $1,000 or now have $10,000. But what was happening was that the money was losing value, purchasing power, right? So on paper, my money was growing, but it was actually losing value. And that was due to inflation. Inflation is something we will cover in our subsequent session. It's not going to be covered today, but we will cover that soon in the subsequent session, and I will explain in a bit. What I'm saying is, by you sitting down to say, "Hey," um, by me sitting down to say, "Hey, I'm saving some money," I was looking at my bank account and I'm saying, "Okay, my money is growing." But it took me the first 5 or 6 years to realize it was after 5 or 6 years that I realized that while that money was growing, I was actually losing value, opportunity cost. And that happened because no one taught me. Even financial literacy is something that is taught by no one in no school. It's something you have to learn by yourself. It's something you have to invest in yourself. Otherwise, you will never be financially literate. You can go to school through all the different grades of school and check primary, secondary, university, MBA. Nobody is actually teaching you how money works and what you should do with your money. It's a knowledge you have to seek yourself. So when I came back to Nigeria, I thought that that's one place that I can close a gap to help the young generation, the younger generation, because I still consider myself a very young man, but a younger generation to begin to, those between the 18 and 35, to begin to see how to think about their money going forward, right? And so that's why we started this, what's it called? That's why I became a personal finance coach to teach people, to coach people, and to get people to understand how to proceed. So, without much further ado, let's jump into what we are going to be doing today. Today, we are going to be talking about how to. We're going to attack this in. We're going to start with psychology. So today, remember, we're talking about taking back control of your finances, right? Um, Yesterday or 2 days ago, I got a message from someone from my post about this program saying, "Hey, I I've been thinking about saving, and I'm thinking about money mutual funds. I've downloaded an app. Can you guide me on what to do?" And I don't believe in general advice when it comes to finances. You have to understand yourself. We have different profiles and different styles and different personalities that affect our ability to be successful in our financial journey, our journey to financial freedom. So if you don't put that into consideration, you're going to find yourself in a situation where you will be frustrated, or you will start and not finish, or you will be hearing all these things and be saying it's not practicable, right? So we start with psychology because we understand that the behavior comes before the knowledge. Knowing how to run a budget is not enough if your habit and your biases pull you the other way. So I can tell you, oh, save, 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 do a budget, but you need to understand what are the biases and the impulses that pull me to do something different, because habits are difficult to break. They're one of the most difficult things to do break. But if you use it in the right way, if you form a good habit, then it just comes naturally to you. Like me personally, if you dash me 5,000 naira today, automatically I know that 50 naira of that money is going to savings. Personally, I actually, you know, I advise people 10 to 25% of any income that touches your hand must be saved. But that is a habit I have formed over years. And so naturally, once I get any money, I already know that a portion of that has to be saved because it has become a habit. It's my impulse. It's difficult for you to break habits. If you have a bad habit, just try to see how difficult it is to break from it. You have to replace that habit with something else for it to stick. So I'm telling you that you need to begin to think about the behaviors, the habits, the biases that pull you away from doing a budget, from running a proper budget, for accounting for your money, for delayed gratification, so that you can then begin to work on that. What you spend matters less than how you decide, right? So then you need to understand understanding your decision protects you. Before you invest anything, learn to recognize how emotions and marketing shape your choices. A lot of us are being engineered and we don't know. A lot of us are being coerced into releasing our money into the net system and we don't know, because it's something that is happening subconsciously. You're being marketed to. Your emotions and your emotional strings are being pulled. You have no idea. So you have to understand this decision so that you can protect yourself from just frivolously frivolously spending money. Spending money is not a bad thing. I'm saying that you need to spend money on things that you value as opposed to things that you are made to believe you need. There's a difference. We'll touch on that in a bit. So this is going to be across 3 sessions. This is session one. Session one is focusing on the inside you. So like I said, that guy that sent me this message on money market fund, like I said, in response to him, I made a post and on my ex account, and I try to let him understand that it's not so much about what investment app should I use and what money should I, how much is mutual money fund good. There's much more to that. You have to understand yourself first. Once we have understood ourselves, then we're going to look at session two and three, and where we will be talking about the tools that we will then use to go into saving and then to move from a saver to an investor, right? But today we focus on the inside, which is the foundation. Because without that foundation, session two and session three is useless to you. Session two and session three is useless to you. So, to recap, you will not out discipline a system designed to separate you from your money. You have to see it first. You think you are in control, but you are not, for the most part, especially if you have not developed the skills to identify the way that this money leaves you. I tell people, tell your money where to go or be left wondering where your money went. All right. So, by the end of this session, you'll be able to one, identify your financial profile and understand where it came from. Number two, you'll be able to align what you spend, what you actually value. Like I said earlier, a lot of times we spend money on things that we don't actually value because we are being social engineered to spend money on things that people expect us to have, as opposed to what we actually value. Number three, at the end of this session, you'll be able to recognize the cognitive biases and marketing techniques that push you to spend. It's important that you understand that so that before that money leaves you, you know what to do. You know what I mean? Yeah. So, number four, apply 50-30-20 rule to a real costed monthly budget. And number five, write one smart financial goal for the next 12 months. So these are the 5 things that you will, at the end of this session, you'll be able to say, I can do these 5 things. We intend to show you all of that before the session ends. All right, let's jump right in. So I typically teach this class over a 6-hour session, but in physical environment. It's a sit-down session. This is how I typically teach this. But I'm going to do this in 3 different sessions, and then we're going to typically run for 2 hours, but I want to try to do that in an hour, right? Because I want us to leave a little time for maybe questions and answer, which if you do have any questions, please feel free to drop that in the comment section. I will come back to that and I will read the questions and we will address them, right? So, but in the meantime, let's look at how we are going to have this. If I can do it in an hour, it will be great. If not, we will try to cover it as much as possible, but we'll cover everything that I've listed that we will understand at the end of today. So we're going to do a welcome and personality quiz. We're going to look at your financial values. We're going to go look at the psychology and marketing. We will skip the break because we are not doing the full 6-hour session. So we would then look at your budgeting basics. We're going to look at your SMART goals. And then we're going to wrap up and have one action for this week that you must do. Right? Okay. So, what kind of money person are you? I'm going to give us 10 minutes or less, to look at access. We're going to do a very simple quiz. And this quiz is going to help you understand what kind of person you are. Are you a spender? Are you a saver? Are you an investor? Or are you the avoider? Right? So let me tell you how that will work. I'm going to share something with you. I want to show you. Let me see. I'm going to share a document with you that you will just quickly answer if you have a piece of paper and pen. If not, you can drop your answers in the comments. It's a simple A, B, C, or D questions. Very, very simple. But I don't want you to put too much thought into it. I want you to do it intuitively. Just look at it and say, okay, this is what I am. This is my answer. This is my answer. Forget about what it means. Just answer with the intention to get it, to just give us an answer. Do you understand? Right. So don't worry about what the answer is, or what it may imply, and just answer. So, question number one: you receive an unexpected 200,000 naira. Your first instinct is A, spend it on something you want. B, put it straight into savings. C, research how to invest it. D, pretend the money did not enter your account. Again, you received an unexpected 200,000 naira. Your first instinct is to A, spend it on something you want. B, put it straight into savings. C, research how to invest it. And D, pretend it does not exist. We jump to number two. Like I said, it's not something you need to think about real much, a lot. It's just instinct. What happens to you when this happens, right? Number two, a friend tells you about a concert for 20,000 naira. You hadn't planned to attend it. What do? A, buy it immediately. You only live once. B, refuse, is not in the budget. I have not budgeted for it. C, work out whether you can afford it without touching your savings. D, change the topic. Change the subject topic, hoping they will forget. You just don't want to address it. So just change topic. Right? So I give you 3 seconds to quickly choose an answer there. Number three, when you check your bank balance, you feel a little guilty because it's often less than expected. B, satisfied because I monitor it regularly. C, fine. You feel fine, but you'd like to invest more. And then D, anxious. I try not to even look. It's better not to even know. Okay? Question number 4. In your family, money was talked about as a source of stress. Was talked about as a source of stress or conflict. B, money was talked about openly and practically. C, as a subject for planning and goals. D, never. It was a taboo subject. We never talked about money in my family. All right. And then the last question, number 5. At 30, what mattered most to me is A, having lived great experiences and made memories. B, having a solid emergency fund and no debt. C, having a portfolio growing in the background. And D, I have never really thought about it yet. All right. So these are the 5 questions that we need to ask. And if you have taken time to answer that, maybe you've written it down, maybe you've written it down, maybe you've or put your answers in the comment. I will come back to them in a bit and address them. But in the interim, let's go to something else. Let's look at what those answers actually mean. What kind of money person am I? If Just so count your answers. If most of your answers are A, then you are a spender. If most of your answers are B, you are the saver. If most of your answers are C, you are the investor. And if most of your answer is D, you are the avoider. Right? I need to point out that no type is wrong. Every one of them has a strength and a blind spot. So you need to identify which of these you are, so that you can then begin to use it to see what your strengths are and what are your blind spots that you can correct. Do you understand? All right. So, your profile. If you are a spender, having done the exercise, now you know you're a spender. It typically means that you are generous and you are good company. When you are around people, people love to be around you. You're the guy that goes out with friends and say, "Barman, one round for everybody." Um, People want to be with you. People want to see you. People want to enjoy your company, right? Let me share my presentation again. I just realized I'm not sharing that. Okay. So you are the spender, a spender, generous and good company. So you typically will spend money. People love to be around you. People love to be but you know the funny thing is, um, people that have, people will say, "I get them before no be property," right? So people, the same people that will say that, the same people that will love to be around you, tomorrow when you become broke, will say, "Ah, he used to have money, he blew it." So, but for now, your strength is that you're good company and you're generous, and there's nothing wrong with being a good company or being generous. Your blind spot is that your spending runs ahead of your income. That's your blind spot. You'll be spending money, and every month, by the 15th or 18th or 20th of the month, you have nothing. You'll be looking forward to the next paycheck. You're literally living paycheck to paycheck. So, what is the next step you need to do? You need to build one saving habit before you add any new spending. Remember, I've told you, habits are difficult to break. So, being a spender and suddenly stopping being a spender is going to be difficult. But if you tell yourself that before I spend any money, I will save some for one thing, whatever it is, let me call it an emergency fund. One thing, before I touch my money, I will move 10%. I will pay myself a tithe. 10% of my salary is going to go somewhere. I will save it, and then I can now become a spender. Let's just start there, right? Now, let's move on to a saver. If you are a saver, your strength is that you are disciplined and you have a safety net. Your blind spot is that your cash savings lose ground to inflation. Inflation destroys your income. And like I said, we'll see that in subsequent sessions. We won't talk about inflation so much today, but inflation really is when you keep money in the bank. For instance, let's look at Nigeria. Um, the bread I used to buy for 500 naira today, I buy for 1.5. In fact, it is by the time it was 1.5, they made a smaller version that they called 1.3, right? And then subsequently, the 1.31 now became the 1.51. So there's no longer 1.3 bread. So really, it's no longer 1.5. It's more than that if you look at the real value of the bread now. So what it means is that what I could buy with 500 naira before, I now need to spend times three of that monetary value to buy it. Now, if I kept that 500 naira in my bank account, would it be worth 1,500 today if I kept it there a year ago? No, because that money is not going to grow times three. So what happens is inflation is hitting us at, the government says we're at 16%. But like I just gave you an example, 500 to 1,500, that's times three. That's not 15% increase, right? But let's if your inflation is hitting you at 50%, it's far more than 50%. But let's just say 50% because the inflation we are suffering now is huge. If 50% is the inflation in the inflationary rate today, and my bank account is paying me 10% interest. What it means is that my money is losing 40%. But on paper, it looks like I have money because my money is seen to be growing. Like I told you earlier today, how I was a saver for 5, 6 years. I had no idea what to do with that money, right? So I just saved it. And it was losing value, but it was looking like it was growing because every month I'm adding to the pile. And so it's growing nominally, but the real value, purchasing power, is falling, right? So saving money just costs you in the long run, inflationary. Does that mean you shouldn't save? No, it's better to be a saver than to be a spender because it's better to save something than to blow the whole money and have nothing to fall back to when you have problems. Now, what is your next step as a saver? You need to move 10% of your savings into something that grows. So if you're already a saver, then your next step is to be an investor. So 10% of your money needs to move to something that grows. Now, if you're an investor, your strength is that you think long term. You're no longer just stacking money in the bank. You are not taking it and making your money work for you. You're thinking the next 15 years, the next 20 years, the next 30 years. That's a great place to be, right? Um, the blind spot, however, is that you can neglect what is needed today. You know, you still have to live for the moment. You cannot just become a guy that takes every money and saves and don't create memories. Don't live for the moment. Don't have you're doing all of that to have some money when you retire, when you could actually have the money, when you could actually and when you retire, you don't even have the strength or the physical or the health to spend that money. So you've accumulated it just to accumulate it without living any life right while you are young. When you are young, you're more energetic, you're able to go around, you're able to do things you love. And when you are old, when you're 65, you may or may not be able to. So let's not abandon the things that needs to be done today. Let us not die of hunger today while we are thinking about investing everything tomorrow for tomorrow. Still have to live for today. Uh, Sometimes investors put themselves in bad situations where, for instance, you have money and you have quickly gone and you want to go and build a house, but you don't have an emergency fund. You want to go and buy a land. So let me start with, oh, let me buy land and let me build a property. There's nothing wrong with that. But before I do that, I need to be sure that I have an emergency fund. What is an emergency fund? I call an emergency fund my personal loan account. So you set money aside here. That money is for in case something happens. Your car breaks down, a child is sick, some emergency comes up that you never planned. You go there, you borrow from yourself. Instead of going to family and friends to borrow, you borrow from yourself first. Instead of going to financial institutions to borrow, you borrow from yourself first. And then as you spend, you replenish the money back, right? But if you have taken the money to buy land, for instance, land is an asset, great, but you don't have an emergency fund. And now you have an emergency. What that then means is that you have to go and sell the land to get the money to solve the problem. And land is not something that you move quickly. It's something that you need to find a willing buyer that has the funds to buy. And when you sell in distress, you typically will sell for a loss. So the next step, if you're an investor, is to make sure you build a solid emergency fund first. And what's an emergency fund? Emergency fund, like I said, is your personal bank account, your personal loan account, where you go and borrow from and you repay. So you fund it while you don't need it. When you need it, you take from it and then you start to replenish it back so that you can borrow from it again in the future. Right? Now, the last profile is an avoider. If you are an avoider, your strength is that you know something has to change. I mean, everybody that avoids things and would not touch it, they know deep down that something has to change, right? And so the question is, what's going to change it? What's going to force us to change? Because something has to change. You know it. So, what are you going to do to make you uh, change from where you are? It's very imperative that you start to think about that. How do I change? Right? Um, the blind spot you have is that your problems will compound while ignored. A problem does not go away simply because you ignored it. Ignoring a problem does not make it go away. It will still be there, looking at you and smiling at you, right? So, what's one step you need to take if you're an avoider? Just take one small action this week. Just one. Just say, I will do this week. Just one. Make it small. Don't ignore and neglect things and hope and pretend that it's not there. Just take one action. Find one thing and do it. It's important for you to know that your profile changes with age and circumstances. This is a snapshot and not a response. No type is bad. Each has strength and blind spots. Your behavior is number one thing that you will need to start from your inside. You have to look at yourself first before you now start looking at the outside, which is the tool. So you have to get the foundation right. So now let's move on. So mapping what actually matters to you, right? I'm going to project to you 20 values. Then I want you to narrow those 20 to 5 that are important to you. And so let me stop sharing this and share my screen for that. Let's see here. A second. Okay. Here are here are 20 values that I want you to think about. So you're looking at the top 5 values and you are saying to yourself also with their security, freedom, and freedom we mean financial freedom, having fun and play, having status, your family, your travel, your career, your health, your experiences, simplicity, one of those people that just want to go and stay with the nature. Generosity is important to you. Is independence important to you? Learning, creativity, comfort, loyalty, adventure, stability, recognition, meaning, community, spirituality, achievement, humor, and honesty. So these are 20 top values. Normally, if I was having a physical session, I would hand this out to the attendants and you will circle five, right? But obviously, this is a virtual session. So I just want you to think about this. Just pick 5 of this, right? Pick 5 of this. And from these 5, I want you to now pick 3 core values and then write them down, right? And you can put that in the comment section. You can say, traveling is very, very important to me. Uh, Family is very, very important to me. And freedom is very, very important to me. So, if those are your 3, you just give us those 3 in the comment and say, these are the 3 most important values to me, my top 3 values that are important to me. Now, um, when you after this session, I want you to take these three values, go back and pull your last month's bank statement. Use their statement, their account where you do most of your spending from, right? Pull it up and then start marking how many of this spending fall in the line of these three things that I most value, right? And then ask yourself, is it mostly yes? Is it a mixed sometimes or not really, right? And then when you've identified that, you then need to now identify what the biggest gap you noticed is, right? So to recap, it's not something that you are going to have the answers here. Here, the only thing you will have is the three core values, right? Because the exercise after that is something you will go home and do. But what I'm saying is, I'm showing you, and if you can't, you can take a screenshot, a picture of this, showing you 20 top values that typically most people fall under, most people have interest in. Then I want you to pick five of these 20 top values. And of that five, I want you to narrow it down to your three core values, right? And then I want you to go back, pull your bank statement of where you spend most of your money, compare these three values with what you spend your money on. Do they mostly fall within those three? Are they mixed or do they not really match at all? And then identify what the biggest gap you notice is, and then put that down. That will really help you in how in knowing if you are doing the things that you value. So let's go back to our presentation. Let me share the screen again. Okay, so um, so by now you've narrowed the three to the five to the three, and then you compare with last month's spending. Does the money match the value? Um, I had a WhatsApp group that I set up where I want to take this conversation take this conversation further. If you are interested, you can join the WhatsApp group where we will discuss this, what you found in this. So I will just put that in the comment section. Let me see here. Something that interests you, join us. You can share what you found from this exercise at that, and you can come back and we can discuss that in the group sometime next week. So let me pin this message on, right? Okay. Let's move on to the presentation. So if you join the group, you can share with me what you found. Also, in the group, I will be sharing my budgeting template with you. It's free. You can use it to plan your budget. I I think that the budget is self-explanatory. However, there is a video I made, and the purpose of making that video was to show you that today, a family with a combined income of 500,000 naira living in Lagos with a family of four, so father, mother, two children, with a combined income of 500,000 naira living in Lagos or any major city in Nigeria would struggle, would be feeding from hand to mouth. That's how difficult life has become for us in Nigeria today, right? And when I first said it, some people did not believe me. And then I saw a guy post it on X saying the same thing. So that inspired me to do a video, which I shared on YouTube, to show you how it does two things. Number one, it shows you how to use my budgeting template to budget. It simply explains it to you. The free budgeting template I'm going to share with you in the WhatsApp group. You can look at that video and see how I do budgeting. But it also then shows you the difficulties that we face today in Nigeria with an income of 500,000 naira. And it sounds insensitive because we hear that the average salary in Nigeria is 200,000 naira. So when you say the average salary is 200,000 naira, and then somebody is saying a family of four cannot live on 500,000, it sounds insensitive. But I'm telling you that times have become very hard. So we have to start thinking about how to protect ourselves in the current economy. And you do that by starting with a budget. Budget is the foundation. A budget is not a punishment. It is a plan for funding what genuinely matters to you. Make sure that you are not spending money on things that you are being programmed to spend, that you're actually spending it on things that you actually value, the things that are important to you, right? Those are the kind of ways that you can begin to get yourself away from this problem, because once you have learned delayed gratification, which is one of the biggest, most underrated skill that most of us take for granted, and you have learned to do proper budgeting, and you have learned to spend money on things you value rather than things that you are being forced or compelled to spend them on, and you have learned to set aside money for your emergencies, because not because you don't think you don't, not because you pray for emergencies, but because emergencies will always come up. That's life. It will come up. And then you have learned to invest so that your money goes to work for you. And again, I don't want to get into session 2 and 3 yet, because I want us to focus on you, the foundation, you today. So, all right, let's move on. So, where do these gaps come from? They do not come from weakness, but from design, right? One of the first things that forces us to do this is peer pressure. Many of us are subconsciously made to spend money we don't intend to spend. Let me give you an example. Imagine a man who goes to, or a girl who gets a new job. You graduated from university and you get your first job. You work in a new office, and everybody in the office are wearing designer clothes. Begin to feel maybe you're not in place. You need to close the gap. You need to belong. You start to buy designer clothes. Meanwhile, the ones you have are perfectly okay. You notice that everybody in the company is using the latest iPhone, but yours is iPhone 12. And now you feel a need to upgrade to iPhone 17 because you want to belong. You bring food from home, but everybody else does order. They order takeout. And somebody walks into the lunchroom one day and says, "What's that smell?" Now you're embarrassed to bring the food that you love, that you were bringing from home. So you ditch it and you start ordering food like others. The bills begin to rack up. So sometimes nobody has said to you change your attire. Nobody has said to you get the latest iPhone. Nobody has said to you stop taking bringing food from home. Your friends want to go out, they drive Uber or Bolt. So it cannot be seen in a BRT. So you start ordering Uber and Bolt. Peer pressure, a lot of times, is not explicitly stated. It is subconsciously stated, and then you fall for it, and then you begin to spend money that you never designed yourself to spend. There's nothing wrong with having the most recent iPhone if that's what your what's most important to you, and you have budgeted for it accordingly, because our budget should be focusing on those things that are important to you. But the problem is that you're doing it because other people are doing it, or you're afraid of what other people will say about you. Another place where this gap comes from is the internet. Online, you are tracked, you are profiled, and you are priced in real time. The page you see is not the page the next person sees. Fact. Sometimes you could be talking to someone about, say, I need shoes, or I need a new headphone. And then you enter Facebook, the ads you'll be seeing is headphones. You enter Twitter, the ads you see is headphones. You go on a website, the ad on the side of the website, headsets. Your phones are listening to us. Our phones are listening to us. Their program allow. All those allow we are doing, allow my mic, allow my this. If you don't allow, it won't work as it's intended. So you allow, to then use it to get information from you and then use it to sell you. Yeah. So you're being tracked and you're being profiled. And then they start bombarding you. You've just talked about using a headphone, and now everything you're seeing headphone. Next thing you know, you're researching headphone. Next thing you know, you are buying headphone, even though headphone was never in the budget. And then the third part where this gap comes from is your brain. Your cognitive biases are levers, and brands pull them deliberately. They are documented, they are taught, and they are tested. So none of what follows is your fault. All of it is your responsibility once you know. So I'm showing you so that you know that you're being programmed to release this money for things that are not of most value to you subconsciously, so that you can then begin to fight that urge to spend on things you don't need or value. And so you can spend on things you value or need, and then can subject more to savings, which you can then ultimately move to investing. So that's the cycle. Understand yourself first, the foundation. Once you understand yourself, then you can now begin to look for the tools that you need to get to your destination. So the shop is built to make you spend. Every detail of the sales floor, from lighting to music to the smell to the layout, is designed to maximize what you spend, especially in the big brand stores. Most of the regular stores we have in Nigeria don't understand this yet. But if you've been abroad, US, UK, you see the way these things are strategized. And some big brands in Nigeria, to be honest, they do this deliberately to extract as much money from you as possible. One of the things they do is that they put the essentials at the back. So you walk past every tempting before you reach the bread. If you ever entered Spa or ShopRite, when ShopRite was ShopRite, that place, the bread is always at the back. Before you get there, you pass several hours. Some of the things you came to buy bread, but you will see all these many different things before you get to that bread. Oh, I think I need that. Oh, I think I need that. Oh, I think I need that. Before you know it, you are buying things that you did not need. Oh, I was thinking about, oh, this looks nice. Oh, then the checkout zone, they put impulse items, things that will cost you 500 naira to 1,000 naira, harmless on their own. The chewing gum, the sweets. You're checking out with your son or your daughter, and yeah, maybe I want some sweets. Very harmless. Oh, it's just 1,000 naira. Oh, it's just 500 naira. Multiply that by 100 visit a year, and then you see that that's how money begin to leave you. Then they do the eye level. What is at the eye level is paid for. Brands pay the big shops to keep items at eye level. Their items are eye level. So the most profitable products sit at eye level. The cheaper equivalents are at the bottom shelf. So if you walk into a store and you see something you like, there's a good chance that the cheaper version is below. Most people don't want to bend down. So eye level is where they keep most of the things that they value. And then the slow music. Supermarkets play slower tempos in the evening and at the weekend. It keeps you there longer, and the longer you are there, the more you spend. It's deliberate. Bread is one thing that they used to also hold us. If you smell bread, you know. If you smell bread, you want to eat bread. And even people that don't have bread in their stores, they do synthetic bread smell piped through the ventilation, often with no bakery on site. Studies have measured spending rises by around 15% if they do this. When you smell fresh bread, you want to eat fresh bread. So that's why a lot of brands, actually, a lot of stores now, like the spas, they do bread in house. That's why bakeries are very, very common in Nigeria today, because when you smell the bread, you want to eat bread. But people, even people that don't have bakeries on site, have started using synthetic bread smell to get you to spend money. And then finally, they have no clocks and no windows. Deliberately, this was pioneered by the casinos. You lose track of how long you have been inside, and time inside is money spent. The longer I'm there, the more money I will spend. Even if I'm spending it in little, little bits, I will spend more money the longer I'm there. So think about this. Which of these have you noticed in your own supermarket? Have you ever gone to any major supermarket and noticed any one of these six things? Stores may not use all six. They may use a combination of some, or they may use all. If you've ever noticed that, I'd like to hear which of the stores you've experienced that here in Nigeria. You can, of course, use the comment section for that. All right. I'm sorry, I spoke to you about the video that I did to show you about what's it called? About budgeting, and how a man that makes 500K more is not is not or a family of four with 500,000K combined income may struggle in the current economy. Let me share that with you. Let me share it in the comment so that you can have an idea of you can watch the video after this and see what I'm talking about. Again, let me say that I'm not in any way belittling people's income or saying that people should not get married because they don't make 500,000 naira or more. What I'm saying is that teaching budgeting 3 years ago, a family making 500K was very, very, very okay. But the numbers just show me that today they struggle, they struggle, they struggle. And this is why we must start looking about ways to make additional money, additional income. Your job, your singular job, your 9 to 5 may not be enough. You need to start thinking about side hustles. You start thinking about investing in skills to improve your value so that you can make more money, so that you can provide the basic for your family. Right? So let me see. Did I share that link? Yes, the budgeting video is here. Yes. So you can watch that after this session, just so you see what I mean. And again, it will help you with with it will help you with using the budgeting template that I will share with you at 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 the WhatsApp group. If you join us, use the WhatsApp group. I will share that sometime today or tomorrow, but I will definitely be sharing that in the group with you um, after this session. Okay, so I've added the video. Check it out after this and watch it and see for yourself how difficult life has become. And to understand, nobody's going to save you. Nobody's going to come and help you. You have to save yourself. The economy is biting. If you are married with a wife or a husband and children, you now have responsibility for those children. And even if you're not married and you have children, you have a responsibility to those children. But a sinking man cannot save another sinking man. So you have to save yourself so that you can be able to save your children. So this is very, very important. I do not say it to make fun. I say it to point out a very critical point that we are facing today. So let's move on. These are your defenses. 5 practical rules to protect your money. 1, the 24-hour rule. Any non-essential purchase over 10,000 naira, close the tab and wait. before you just impulsively throw 10,000 naira that you did not think about, you did not plan for, and it's not is in a non-essential purchase. Wait, that headphone you want to buy for 20,000 naira, that Rhymer code, sorry, that cord that you want to buy for 8,000, 15,000 naira that you think is not a lot of money, it's just small money. Before you, do I really need it? Is important. So before you buy it, just wait 24 hours. If you still need it, then buy it. Browse privately for anything significant. When you're shopping online, go incognito and browse privately so that they don't track you and use it to market you some more. Um, I don't know if you've ever noticed this. You want to buy a plane ticket, you go on a website and they ask you destination, you put in the destination, dates, you put in the dates, how many people, you put in how many people. So you say two people, and then you submit. The system scans and come back and says, oh, the price for a flight from Lagos to Anambra is 200,000 naira. And then you say, I'll come back, I'll buy it later. Your cookies have tracked that you want to go to this place. The next time you come back, it will tell you that is now 210,000 naira. But not only that, it's 210,000 naira, there are 3 seats left. There are 3 seats left. So what that means is, by delaying, the system is trying to tell you that by not buying it the first time, by delaying, it has cost you additional 10K, right? And which what is subconsciously telling you is that if you further delay, it could cost you another 10 or 20K the next time you come back. That's the first penalty. It's trying to punish you, quote unquote, for not buying it the first time. Then he already knows that you need to buy ticket for 2. And now he's telling you that there are only 3 tickets available. Now, nobody wants to travel with a family or a spouse or a friend and they go in 2 different planes. They want to travel together. They want to even sit next to each other. So now he's about to program you again to say there are 3 seats left. He's telling you that somebody else buys 2, that ticket is no longer available to you because you're not going to buy one and go and look for another plane to buy another one for your second partner. He already knows there are 2 of you traveling, right? So now you have 2 potential penalties. Don't buy it now, lose 10K. Lose risk price going up again. I've already lost 10K. You didn't really lose any money, but it's now programming your head that you have lost 10,000 naira by delaying. And it's possible that I may miss the whole flight completely. So now you are programmed to say, you know what, let me buy it now so I don't lose the ticket and I don't get more penalties. Boom, they've made the sale. But guess what? Somebody else is browsing that same information for the first time and is still seeing 200,000 naira. And that person is not even being told that there are 3 tickets left. So browse privately when you want to make big purchases online so that they don't track you and then use that information against you. Never save your card details. You know, when you go to a brand's website and you want to buy something, it says, put in your card number, you put it on, and you see this little checkbox that says save your card. Never do that. You do that because you want to save time so that next time you don't have to put in your card again. But you see, putting in your card is a friction. It's a friction point. And that friction point gives you time to think, to say, maybe I don't need this. Maybe this should wait. You need that 5 to 10 seconds to think. Maybe this is not important right now. But if you have saved your card, you lose that 5 to 10 seconds of thinking and just boom, you have purchased. Never save your card details. Allow that time to think. That friction is very important for you. It looks like a convenience that the company is doing to you, for you, but the company is actually trying to make sure that you spend more by removing a friction point in your purchase. Number four, audit your subscription monthly. Take your bank statement and scan it every month. There are many applications that you are paying for that you're not using. Some of us have several streaming sites, not one. Don't want to be calling names of streaming sites, but you have three or four, and maybe you only use one or two. The other two are just removing money from your bank every month from your card, and you're not using it. Go and cancel anything you have not used in the last 30 days. Then, number five, is there any social content that regularly makes you want to buy something? If yes, you are the product being sold. If there's an account you follow that's always making you spend money, go and unfollow that account. You are the product. It's important that you understand this. Now, these are five practical rules to protect your money. You can follow all five, or you can pick a rule and follow it. You say, I can't do all five, but I can do this one. Take that one and follow it. A rule you actually follow beats five you admire. You can admire all five of them and say, oh, these are good rules. Oh, I like this one. I like that one. But you follow none of them. You're just wasting your time. Pick one if you can't pick all five. Pick one and say, you see this one. I will never save a card detail on a shopping, on a e-commerce website. Pick one and take it. Ideally, pick all five. All right. So typically in my physical session, this is where we take a break. But like I said, we're not taking a break today. We need to rush through this and do the whole session. So let's move to the 50-30-20 rule on a first salary. So the scenario is that this is your first job, 300,000 naira per month. That's your income. That's your salary, not gross. Your net, I meant to say net, not gross. 300,000 naira net is your salary. Let me even change that right now. So net is after taxes, gross is before taxes. But you know, in Nigeria, our salary is typically after taxes. We don't think about our gross. Most of us don't even know what our gross is. We just know what our net salary is. So what do? You say, this 300,000 naira that I have, that I get paid every month, I'm going to do 50% for my needs, 30% for my wants, and 20% will go to my savings. Right? So what are my needs? My rent is a need because I have to put my head at the end of the day somewhere. My food is a need. I have to eat. Otherwise, I will not be able to be sustained. I would, have to go to the other world, side of the other, I have to go to work every day. Right? So I have to confirm for my transportation. If I have children, then my children's school fees becomes a need. My children have to go to school. They can't stay home. So 50% of all the money I make, which is 300,000 naira, is 150K. 150K will cover my rent, my food, my transport, and my school fees. Now, let me talk to you about rent. Because there's one thing a lot of us do. In Nigeria, we pay rent monthly, unlike the US, where we pay rent annually, unlike the US, where we pay rent monthly. And because we pay rent monthly in the US, every month you account for your rent. But in Nigeria, we pay annually. And so most of us, when we pay rent, we just assume that rent has been paid and then we move on. Right? But you wait till 3 months to the next rent and then start looking for rent money. You now want to come up with 12 months money in 3 months. That's when hardships start coming in. That's when you start looking for who to borrow money from. That's when you start going online to beg for money. Going on Twitter to beg for money will destroy you, because this Twitter is a very vicious place. Very, very vicious. They will keep your notes, and tomorrow they will use it to abuse you about how you came to beg. There's a lady on Twitter. I think she's called Mom Z. She was a lady that had this a situation where uh, she had posted about how she started cooking. She was pregnant at the time and she had to wake up at 4 a.m. to cook for her husband to take to work. And so that led to some drama. People started abusing her, laughing at her. Some people that felt doing that is slavery. And then those people that felt that what she's doing is the right thing started defending her. It became a big deal. Um, they started contributing money for her. She got some brand ambassadorship. People paid for her to move from their one bedroom apartment. She had to cook every day, she said, because they couldn't even afford a fridge. So she has to cook every day. So she cannot cook in bulk and keep in the fridge. So people moved them into a three-bedroom apartment, gave them appliances. Social media brand grew. But till tomorrow, when she has a commentary that people disagree with, they will remind her how they were the ones that raised money for her. I still see that till tomorrow. And this has been a while ago. And the lady has rebranded herself, and she's doing very well. Her husband is doing very well. But that's what they still talk about. So when you bring your personal situation online, especially to come and beg for money, which she didn't even come to ask for money, people just decided to freely donate for her. Just know that you open yourself up to mockery, right? So anyway, rent is something that you should account for monthly and save it long term. Every month, as soon as you pay your rent, take your rent, divide it by 12, and start saving the money every month until you get to 12 months. In fact, saying this right now reminds me that I need to do a video to show you how you should invest your rent money and make that money make you more money, guaranteed money. And um, by the time your rent is due, you will have more than enough, even more extra that you can then use to do other things by reinvesting your. So if you're not following me on YouTube, click that subscribe button right now. Click on my notification so that when I push out these videos, you will see it. I will do one, but I will not do that video until after I have talked about investing. I need to teach you how to invest first. And then in subsequent session, I will do a video where I show you how to invest your rent money to make you more money and have your rent ready in time for rent. Right? Now, 30% has to go to your wants. Wants are the things that you see when people tell you don't stop, save, don't spend. It is not practicable. There are things that people like to do. It comes down to, again, values. What are the things that are important to you? You have to spend some money on those things so that you don't feel like you are just slaving for nothing. Your needs are your needs. Those are not things that make you happy. Those are things that need to be done. Your wants are the things that give you happiness, satisfaction. So I like to eat out, right? So if I like to eat out, I'm going to budget some money for eating out according to my budget. I can only budget 90,000 naira for my wants. In this 90,000 naira this month, how much of that 90,000 naira am I going to use to eat out? How much of that 90,000 naira am I going to use to buy clothes or do shopping? How much of that 90,000 naira am I going to use to subscribe to streaming websites? How much of that 90,000 naira am I going to use to do my hobbies? The sports that I like to attend. Maybe I like to go to cyber cafes and watch football. Maybe I like to go out with my friends and have a beer every weekend. But my budget is 90,000 naira for all my wants because my salary is only 300,000 naira. And as my salary increases, then I can have more income to do some of these things that I love. And then finally, you are going to look at your savings. You're going to set aside 20,000, 20% of this 300K, which is 60K, to fund my emergency fund. You see, your emergency fund is the necessities, your basic necessities, needs, all these things that fall under your needs here, all of them here. You need to know what they are every month. And when you use my budgeting template, you'll be able to tell how much of this money is how much of this money is my needs, So when you know your needs, if your needs are 150K, in this instance now, this person needs 150,000 naira every month to meet his basic needs, then I'm going to target 6 times that, which is about what? 900K. But I tell people in Nigeria, you know, in the US, they used to teach us to save 3 months of your emergency funds. But I tell you, in Nigeria, don't do that. Look at 6 to 12 months. Because you see, in the US, for the most part, in 3 months, you will find a replacement job. And even if you don't find a job in your field, you will find other kind of jobs that you can do to sustain you. It's not like that here. So you lose your job here, it could take you 6 months to a year to find another job. So your emergency fund should target at least 6 times of your essential cost, but aim for 12. So a person making 300,000 naira a month should be looking to set aside 1.8 million naira in some high yield savings account or some money market fund, which again, I don't want to get into that right now. We'll talk about that in the investment side, right? But you have to save that money and put it aside for in case my car breaks down, in case my 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 child gets sick and we need money urgently. Then you take money from there, fix that problem, and start putting it back again. You need to get back to 1.8. So if you go and spend 1 million, it means that you are not owing your personal bank account 1 million naira. You start putting what you can from your 20%, this 60K. You start using it to fund it until you bring it back to 1.8 million. That's just the way it is. Um, you use it to set a smart goal. This is one thing I want to do in the next 12 months. And we'll talk about smart goal in a bit. If you are owing people money, you need to pay your debt back. You need to pay your debt back. A lot of us have ruined relationship from debt. You see that friend that you called and said, give me 100K, I will give you back next week. I will give you back in 2 weeks. But you never do. You think it's not a big deal. It is. Because what it means is that you have not been able to keep your word and you've made the relationship awkward. Next time you see him, you're feeling somehow, he's feeling somehow, she's feeling somehow. They don't know how to bring it up. You don't want to bring it up. You're trying to avoid it. But more importantly, the next time you need help and you come to him or her, she will simply say to you, the last one I gave you, you have not returned. You're asking me for another one. So now you have been bought for 100K. 100K as is what they now use to buy you forever. Relationships are very, very important. Family relationship and friend relationship. You need to think about both and you need to hold on to both. It's very important. Do not destroy them by going into borrowing from these families. And because they are the people that will change your life, the people that will be there for you when you have problems, the people that will link you to your network, the people that will link you to people that could change your life. Don't bond that with borrowing money from them. So if you have a debt, you need to start repaying it ASAP. And you repay it from the savings that you have set aside from your salary to pay your debt. If you're borrowing from financial institutions, you already know what the interest rates are. Some people are paying up to 40%, 48% a year in interest. I know people that have gone into debt, people that reach out to me in my DMs, telling me about how debt has destroyed them. There was a guy that told me he was a medical student. He was in his last year, and his father had sent him money to pay for his school fees. Um, he decided that he would use the money and invest it in crypto and hopefully double the money, take the take out the school fees money and pay school fees, and then use the remaining to flex and enjoy life. Well, his crypto account crashed to zero. He had no money. School fees gone. Potential money to flex gone. He ended up having to borrow from um, a financial one of those financial institutions, and that was how he was able to pay the school fees because he couldn't tell his father. If he tells the father, he said his father will end him. So he took out loans and then even took out extra jobs to be trying to pay the loans while going to school. He almost missed his final exam. Today he's a medical doctor, and that debt has ballooned to millions. And he has paid him more than he ever borrowed, and he's still paying. He's trying to know how to get out of that debt. I coach people on getting out of debt. That's a one-on-one session. You can visit my website at jpattueyi.com, or you can send me a message on X at jpattueyi or LinkedIn jpattueyi. We can look at your specific debt profile and we can find how to help you get out of debt. Let me put my website on the in the link, just in case you want to check my website out and see what I do. I'll put that in the comment section. Let's see here. So that's my website. If you want to check it out, feel free to do that. All right. So let's go back to our presentation. And then out of that 20% that you saved, we will use it for your future investment. Session 2 and session 3 will touch on investment, the tools, and how you go about investing. For today, we are focusing on you. Again, if you are not following me, hit the subscribe button, turn on the notification, and I will let you so that way you are informed when we go live and you're able to then come in and catch the subsequent sessions. Now, turning an intention into a commitment. That's a smart goal. It is vague to say, I want to save more. I want to save more is not a smart goal. A smart goal will say, I will save 100,000 naira a month by canceling 2 subscriptions and bringing lunch to work every day, starting on the 1st of May to reach 1.2 million naira by the 30th of April. What makes this goal smart? It is specific. What exactly do I want to do? I want to raise 1.2 million naira. It is measurable. I will save 100,000 naira every month. Measurable. If I save less than 100,000 naira, I know I failed. If I don't have 1.2 million by the end of 30th of April, I know I failed. It must be achievable. If my income is 300,000 a month, it's not achievable for me to save 100,000 naira a month. But if my income is 1 million naira a month, then 100,000 naira is just 10%. It's very, very much achievable. So whatever your goal is must be realistic. You must keep it realistic. Otherwise, you will fail. Right? And then it must be relevant, as in tied to your values. Remember, we talked about values. At the end of this, you should find out what are the 3 things that are most valuable to you. And then make sure that these things that you want to do is relevant to your values. So that is what motivates you to continue. So for instance, this 1.2 million naira, I want to save it because I want to go on vacation. Vacation is very important. Traveling is very important to me. So because I need to travel, I have looked up the place I can go or I want to go will cost me 1.2 million naira to go there. But I don't have 1.2 million naira, and I'm not going to go and borrow 1.2 million naira to travel. But I will save 100,000 naira every month starting from this date, from the 1st of May to the 30th of April. So I will have 1.2 million naira in time for booking my reservations for August. Because if I wait till August to have the money, then it will cost me more. If I book it in April, it will be cheaper because I booked it in advance. So I have to make sure that it ties to my values. And because I have that ambition, I want to travel this place, I want to go there. Putting aside that 100,000 naira a month will be very easy because I know what the end goal is. And then it needs to be time bound. By when? When am I going to have this 1.2 million? I'm going to start 1st of May, and by the 30th of April, I intend to have 1.2 million naira. Time bound. It cannot be an indefinite, I want to raise 1 million naira or 1.2 million naira. And then for the next 5 years, you're putting in small, small money and hoping to one day raise 1.2 million naira. It must be time bound. So smart, specific, measurable, achievable, relevant, time bound. I want to save is vague. I will save 100,000 naira a month by canceling 2 subscriptions and bringing lunch to work every day, starting 1st May to reach 1.2 million naira by the 30th of April. So I'm just going to give you a few minutes to write one goal. Don't have to share that with us. It's your own personal goal. Write one goal, and it has to have, if the goal has no number and no date, it's not yet a goal. And tie that to your value, something that you've always wanted to do. And then tell yourself, this one thing I want to do, I will do it by saving so amount every month, and by sacrificing XYZ and changing some certain bad habits I may have, so that I can be able to raise this money by this specific date. Remember, if it has no number and no date, it is not a goal yet. Write your one goal, put it down somewhere. So now, to wrap up, um, we have talked about identifying your financial profile and understanding where it came from. We have aligned what you spend with what you actually value. We have recognized the cognitive biases and marketing techniques that push you to spend. We have applied the 50-30-20 rule to a real costed monthly budget. And we have agreed to write one smart financial goal for the next 12 months. These are the 5 things I promised you at the beginning, and I believe we have touched on every single one of them. So, not tomorrow, this week, we're asking you, go through your bank statement, look for one unused subscription, and cancel it today. We've asked you to write down your 3 values on paper. Put them somewhere you will see them, in your phone, your wallet, your desk. Then make sure that your spendings, your wants, align to these 3 values and not things that you're being programmed to spend them on. Check before you buy. Next time you hesitate over something costing you more than 10,000 naira, wait 24 hours before deciding, just to be sure that it's something that you really want and not something that is being done by impulse or that you have been programmed to do. Knowledge without action changes nothing. Choose one thing and do it this week. Don't just say, oh, I spent an hour and a half watching this YouTube live. I believe I've given you some value, and then forget about it. It would have been a wasted 1.5 hours. For you to get value, you need to do something. Pick one and do it this week. Don't forget to join us on our WhatsApp group. If you haven't, I will share the budgeting template in there so that you can then begin to see how you would do budgeting. Also, check out the video that I shared. The video shows you how to use the budgeting template in case you don't know how to use it. Although the real aim of doing that video was to show you that 500,000 naira a month for a family of 4 is not a lot of money today, right? So what comes next? The tools are waiting for you. Now that you know your own behavior, you are ready to put it to work. In session 2, we are going to look at investment fundamentals, how money grows over time, compound interest and inflation, where to keep your savings, and why the order matters. Then, subsequently, we shall have our session 3, which is our portfolio strategy, building a portfolio that fits your risk profile, diversification and managing risk, and defending real decisions. Session 2 and session 3 are going to come up session 2 will be coming up in a couple of weeks, a week or two. I don't know yet. I'll find time for that. I will inform you on my X and my Twitter, on my X and my LinkedIn when I do decide to do that. I will also inform you in the WhatsApp group when we want to do that. I will also advise that you take a minute to click on subscribe and turn on your notifications so that when we go live like this, you will know in case you miss it in many of these other platforms. But right now, I want to thank you for taking part in this session. I wanted to keep it under an hour, but we're an hour and a half. Don't forget to subscribe and turn on your notification for updates for the next session. You can follow me on Attueyi, which is JPATTUEYI on X, and on LinkedIn, I'm JP Attueyi, JP space ATTUEYI. Before we wrap up, let me look at the comments, see if there's any questions I need to answer. And see here, my network is bad. I hope the live stream will be saved. Yes, after the session is over, YouTube automatically converts this into a video and then shares it on my page. So you can go back to my page and watch it later when you have better connection. The vendor says, B for me, C for me, A, I wish I check. I wish I check more regularly. B, freely and openly. A, B, C combined for me. So that's a very balanced person. Can I have two answers for one question? No, no, you cannot have two answers for one question. What is the closest one to what you do? That typically will tell you what you are. The aim is to find out whether you're a spender, a saver, an investor, or just someone that is an avoider, right? So, all right. I think that's all we have in the comment section. I want to thank you for joining us today. We're able to do it in an hour and a half. I will see you guys at the next stream. Thank you and have a nice day. Bye-bye.